Hey everyone, welcome back to Miles for Mental Health. Thanks for being so patient over the course of the summer as you waited for our next video. We've been supporting business development and fundraising initiatives for our partner, Mind Freedom Ghana, who you can follow here and support here to help strengthen their community support networks, which they established and have been managing for 2 years under funding from the National Democratic Institute. We knew, as the seasons were changing here in Colorado, that we need to get you some incredible footage of the aspens changing color, from green to gold to orange and even red. So today we are heading up to some high-density aspen groves north of Edwards, Colorado. We were able to find these groves through a little bit of satellite research and use of an ArcGIS map that was open source online, which you can access here. After calling the White River National Forest Ranger District for the area north of Edwards and confirming that the roads were open, we started our trek up the mountain. I knew that it was going to be a long drive just from looking at the satellite footage. Things always take even longer in real life. You come across steep climbs, major potholes, or wrong turns, which can add a little bit of complexity to the drive. So, the climb from Edwards up 2,000 feet near the summit took nearly 40 minutes. Most of the scenery up until that point was shrub brush, dust, and a very infrequent campsite or two, but once we finally crested the top and saw the aspens in the distance, it took our breath away. It's fascinating how much more vibrant and awe-inspiring the aspens are when they change their colors. It's odd, actually. Change isn't normally something we can take so in stride. Often it comes with its own headaches and anxieties. It's a disruption to routine, normalcy, and comfort. But, as you can see in the case of the aspens, it can also bring out so much beauty and wonder. Perhaps change is all of those things at once. It's new and amazing, yet scary and displacing. I think our perception of change really depends on how we utilize strategies for coping with change on an individual basis. There are a few strategies for coping with change that we'd like to share during today's video, with hopes that you'll be able to apply these in your day-to-day to make change a little less excruciating and a little more inviting. Step 1. Breathe. Take a step back. Notice your breath. Accept that change is happening. A key step in responding to change or to stress will be stopping yourself from immediately reacting to your environment. One of the best ways to do this is to breathe, and to really breathe. Take 30 seconds or a minute to just breathe in and breathe out, while noticing the feeling of your breath going into and out of your body. Let your stress levels return to normal and accept that you are starting the process of dealing with change. Step 2. Bounce. Talk with your support systems. Regain your calm. Seek help if necessary. By bouncing thoughts, feelings, and ideas off of your support systems, whether they be your partner, your friends, your family, or professional, you can begin to brainstorm what the best way is for you to respond to change, while keeping yourself centered, rational, and true. Talking about your needs and your challenges is a continuous process. Don't be afraid to keep having conversations. Step 3. Build. Strengthen your foundation. Prioritize exercise and nutrition. Let your mind and body rest. No matter how many times you breathe into this change or how many times you try to talk about this change with your support system, your body will physically not be able to respond to change the way you want it to without ensuring that you have a strong, built foundation for health. That means eating nutrient-rich foods, exercising regularly, prioritizing sleep, and taking time to relax. This will ensure that you are clear-headed and able to respond to change how you want. Step number 4. Be mindful. What are you thankful for that has gotten you to this point? How can this be a growth opportunity? What new experiences will this provide you with? Positive, mindful reflection can help uncover new perspectives on the change that you are dealing with. It's important to ask yourself key questions, to be compassionate with yourself and your responses, and to allow your mind to frame the change with curiosity as opposed to disinterest or denial. Step number 5, begin. Start taking action towards the change. Take ownership of your response to the change. Lean into your support systems as you step forward. After breathing, bouncing feedback off of your support systems, building your foundation, and being mindful of your situation, you can begin to take action towards your desired outcome. Let this be a considerate, measured response to change, and not a reaction to your environment. As you progress through these 5 steps, you can stop, pause, and restart however and wherever you see fit. These are guiding principles based on the Emotional Wellness Toolkit from the National Institutes of Health. This is not an exact science. Make sure to tailor this approach to your specific situation, which can easily be done by using the bounce stage again with new and different groups in your support system. Now that we've had an opportunity to see the change in the leaves and the strategies for change we can apply in our own lives, I want to show in real time what it looks like to come across a very unexpected change in the route that we were taking back home. As you can see, this hill is quite steep. As we were exiting the aspens and approached our final descent, I noticed that the rock steps in front of us were far more imposing than any other terrain we had interacted with thus far. The steps were broad, slick boulders that were causing what looked to be 12 to 18-inch drop-offs. They were numerous, scattered along the trail in no apparent order, and were clearly the largest rocks that the Tacoma had come across since the end of the Gladiator. The most worrisome part of this terrain, however, was that all of this was exacerbated by a 30-degree descent, indicated on my dash, which is accompanied by a wonderful yellow warning. The Tacoma was so slanted that it felt like I was standing straight up with my foot on the brake. Even the slightest release led to the vehicle slipping forward. The emergency brake would not engage, and the vehicle would not hold park. Step 1. Breathe. Before getting out to assess the terrain, I took a deep breath. This was the most harrowing situation that I had been in with the Tacoma, but I had over 3 years of off-roading experience that had led me to where I was. I knew I was going to have to deal with this obstacle, whether it was going around it or over it. That was a fact. Step 2. Bounce. I am so lucky that I had someone else in the car with me to talk about the change that I was facing. I immediately started asking Ashley how she felt about the situation, what her comfort level was, if she had any recommendations, and I was sharing my thoughts and concerns too. I was saying things like, "This is way worse of a situation than I thought we'd be running into today." Yes, noted, validated, agreed. Step 3. Build. I couldn't figure out a way to move forward unless I got to see the rock steps more up close. I needed to assess which path to take to ensure that I didn't bust open my differential or roll the vehicle. Although my foundation was not very strong, given that my emergency brake wasn't working and I couldn't get the vehicle to stay in park without rolling forward, I was lucky that Ashley was able to edge her foot onto the brake from the passenger side of the vehicle. Her support allowed us to fortify our foundation and for us to have a moment to reflect. Step 4. Be mindful. Once I was able to get out of the car, I was able to assess our situation. Immediately, jarring questions began going through my mind. What are the chances that I will roll the vehicle over? Will the Tacoma suffer any damage? What will happen to Ashley? I had to stop myself from letting negative ruminations get in the way of action. Instead, I began to ask myself, was there a way for me to back up or to change course? If not, what path could I take to suffer the least amount of damage? What have I learned in the past about steep descents like this? Step 5. Begin. After talking about the situation again with Ashley, we went back to the bounce stage for a moment. I decided it would be best to try and back up. It didn't pose any additional danger, and it possibly would keep us from having to do the descent. To start, the backup went smoothly, but we hit a slick rock that was keeping our stock tires from gaining any more upwards travel. The tires, although hot and sticky, were unable to grip the rocks. Okay, we can't go backwards, so let's go forwards. I saw a pathway through the rock steps that took us a little to the left. It was the only way that would keep our rear differential safe from being smashed open like a pumpkin after Halloween, and so I started creeping forward. Every drop, the steepness got worse, but we held steadfast. Every drop was one less drop to go over. I I got to the final teeter-totter, and I felt like I was going to roll the vehicle, so I asked Ashley to get out and report back. Thankfully, our front right wheel was on the ground, exactly what we wanted to hear. Ashley got back in the car and we got off the rest of the rock steps. The rest of the descent down the mountain went smoothly and softly. We even saw a red-tailed hawk. You can see it right there. And a tiny tornado. It was a much more adrenaline-inducing trip than we were hoping for, but we overcame that unexpected detour. When you deal with change, think about the 5 B's that we discussed today. Breathe, bounce, build, be mindful, and begin. Here at Miles for Mental Health, we hope that these strategies will help you become more resilient to change and unexpected outcomes, giving you the foundation for mental health and wellness that you deserve. We hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks again for being patient with us as we explored our other priorities as an organization. As a reminder, you can donate to our partner, Mind Freedom Ghana, by donating to the GoFundMe that we've organized for their mental health community support networks in Ghana. As always, you can follow us on our socials, and you can support our continued efforts by signing up for our Patreon or buying a t-shirt. For more resources on coping with change, you can find the link to the National Institutes of Health Emotional Wellness Toolkit in the description below. Let us know in the comments what you'd like to see next. See you next time.